York that day, they were starting to work on these layouts for these pages.
Right.
And Sarah, my editor, said, okay, we're having a hard time with the cityscape. We can't think of something long to go on the side, the length sides. And why don't you, while you're here, or while you're in the city, give it some thought. If you think of anything, let us know. So I just went out in New York and started walking. It was hot as, Hades in New York. And I looked up and I was like, I took a picture of the light post. I was like, duh, what about this? And
Right.
immediately they were like, yeah, perfect. So
But that's to your point of even the book. I mean, that goes right into the book because you purposefully went out to look at it a different way.
Exactly.
The first thing that I got from this book was the understanding that, you've walked this trail 30,000 times, but have you really stopped to notice?
Right, Betsy, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. It just means so much to see all these faces, and it's just a joy to be with you. So I've been teaching writing for almost 22 years now, and so many of my students and friends have told me that they wanted to write in a journal, but they didn't know what to write about. So I honestly reveled in every moment of creating a guided journal. A book for people who wanted to get away from the screen and get out into the sunshine. For my students who, honestly, since I started teaching as a grad student in 1997, have said, can we go outside? I happen to be on the board for the neighborhood, and I'm on the streets committee. So some really awesome folks worked hard to research walking districts, and they occur in the UK more than they do in the US. And so they said, hey, we have a big problem in our neighborhood, so let's experiment before we get our 440 project moving with creating some signage on the streets for the walking district. And so on a pilot basis, we asked the city to put these signs up.
Take the quote from Color Purple. I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. So, yeah.
It's our duty to notice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that line is so powerful because, what Walker is saying is it's not just something that is there to delight you. When you notice it, you pay homage to it, and noticing and paying attention to something is a way of giving it your love and your value.
Yeah.
It's not just about delighting or amusing you.
Okay, so my last question.
Okay.
The night at Parnassas.
Yes, that was so fun.
You made something. Like you full tilt, fully made something. Yes, there's a team of people involved, and yes, and all of that stuff, but you made something. And then you're in a space where people are there to celebrate you making something and to celebrate the work that you did.
Such a nice way to think about it.
What was that like?
Oh, it was like, I mean, it's hard to describe. I've never experienced anything quite like that before. It was really fun. Honestly, it reminded me of my wedding.
Okay.
It was just
How do
such
you
a
mean?
joyful, because so many people from so many different nooks and crannies of my life were there. And it was just this opportunity to really have a happy occasion. When stuff like that happens, it's usually a funeral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was really fun to have a celebration of putting together art. And I believe so deeply in what Parnassas is doing in terms of building community and celebrating independent bookstores and celebrating writers and the people who love to read. Readers are a huge part of Parnassas too. So I love spaces where we all physically get in the same room. That doesn't happen in this life very often.
That's so good. How is this sounding for you, Anto?
Good. Just let me know when you want to start. It's great.